Hi, this is Traci Falbo, and I'd rather eat my vegetables than listen to Ultrarunner Podcast.
Welcome to UltrarunnerPodcast.com and a new episode. This is our first podcast of the year, and I'm anxious to welcome someone with a resume every bit as stout as those fellows who ran North Face a month ago. Traci Falbo lost a bunch of weight about a decade ago and started running marathons. Since then, she's run a marathon in every state, winning 18 of them. Traci started running ultras in 2011 and has racked up wins at Olmsted, where she ran uncrewed and without a pacer, Kettle Moraine, the Grand Slam of Ultrarunning, and many, many others. Really want to talk to her about this year, though, or rather last year, 2014. Traci had a truly remarkable year. She started off by winning Destin Beach 50 miler, then took a second at Olmsted. That was also good for fourth overall. She then grabbed a second and third overall at Keys 100 miler in Florida, then a strong win at Kettle Moraine 100 miler. Then Traci flew up to Alaska to run her first 48-hour race and came away with not only the women's win, but the overall win with a staggering 242 miles, which is a world indoor best and most distance ever in the U.S. by over 8 miles. She followed that up with a 14:45 and overall win at Tunnel Creek 100 miler on the trail, where she ran the fourth fastest 100 miler in the U.S. and the fastest trail 100 for a female ever. She then ran 147 miles at Desert Solstice to grab second for the ladies, also fourth best distance for that time ever, which also earned her a 15:53 for the 100 miler. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of stats. Very, very legit. Traci's 42. She's a pediatric physical therapist who lives in Indiana with her family, and for some inexplicable reason has no shoe sponsor, no real sponsor, no one helping her out with travel or entries. I'm anxious to learn really more about the transition from marathons to this, because it's been a really quick transition, and really how in the heck she's getting these screaming fast times both on and off the trail. So let's get into it. Traci, thanks for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, first, you were just recently named number 8 Ultrarunner of the Year by Ultrarunning Magazine. Congratulations for someone who's, like we said, has only been into this since 2011. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's quite exciting to be top 10 for Ultrarunner.
It's
huge bunch of talent out there, so I'm very honored.
It's a huge bunch of talent, and you want to talk about a diverse bunch of talent. I mean, you've got you and Joe Fegis and Max King, and people who specialize in mountains, people who specialize in timed events, people who kind of specialize in no real specialty, do everything. Real diverse, big, huge tent in ultrarunning nowadays.
I agree. I think that makes the voting all that much harder.
It does, and that's come up a lot on social media and whatnot recently, is trying to compare apples and oranges to pomegranates and everything else. And this happens every year. Nobody's ever going to be happy. You can't do it. So to hell with it. That's about how I'd see it. So I want to kind of get into this chronologically because you've got a real interesting story. Just going off of research on you, you weren't much of an athlete growing up, you said. You described yourself as slow, and then you lost 80 or 90 pounds or so about 10 years ago. What was the impetus for that?
Yeah, I mean, in high school, I sucked. I ran for 5K cross country. Well, we ran 2 mile actually in high school, but then I ran at a little teeny college. I ran JV, and I looked back just out of curiosity, and I was running like 22-minute 5Ks, and my daughter's, running just about sub 19 at this point. So,
ooh, yeah.
I was not a talented runner by any means. So, I don't know. About 10 years ago, I had children and wasn't happy, and had just gained weight from being pregnant, and then not running or doing anything for about 8 or 9 years in there, and just was unhappy with myself, and decided I needed to do something about that. And so I knew part of the reason I was unhappy was because I was heavy, and so I decided to lose weight. And in about a little more than a year, I lost 80 pounds. And
wow.
I'd always had it on my bucket list to run a marathon. So I had joined a running group and met a guy who ran the group who was training for Rocket City in December, and this was like July, and he offered to help me train and could have, gave me a training plan and trained with me and ran my first one. So then it's just kind of taken off from there. I did one a year for 3 years and said, I'm never doing another one of these long run stuff.
Yep.
And then So I didn't do anything for a year, and then I took off after that. Found out about the 50 States Club, and then it wasn't uncommon for me to do, back-to-back, Saturday, Sunday marathons to save money, go into 2 states in one weekend or something like that. And then
is that right?
There it was like, well, why not try a 50 or 100? Or
you were doing the doubles, the Mike Wardian style weekends.
Absolutely. Yep.
Wow. So that set you up real well. So we fast forward to 2011. What was it that got you? I mean, you obviously said, well, I can do this. I'm doing back-to-backs. I can. Had you seen ultras before? Had you just heard about them? How did that introduction take place?
I had a friend. I run with a group of about 15 people locally that we run on Sunday mornings, and one of the guys had run 100 several times and had tried to get into Western, and I think he got it. It was when they had the 3-time loser rule.
Yeah.
If you didn't get into the lottery, and then I think he was supposed to go the year. Then they had the fire.
Yep.
And then he never did get in, which really sucked. But we had heard about hundreds from him, and it just seemed like crazy. And then I had started doing multiple marathons, and it didn't seem as abstract. And my running partner, I had always wanted to do 100 and wanted to run Western. I didn't really know much about ultras, but he was my running partner, and we ran, 3 to 5 times a week together. So he's like, I want to do a 100-miler. Do you want to do one with me? So I'm like, well, okay. So we did a 50 in October, which was, in training for the 100, and then did our first 100 in December together.
I noticed that on your ultra sign-up, and I'm not going to let you skip over the fact you won both of them.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We ran the 50 separately, and then the 100 we ran together, and we really didn't know what we were doing. We screwed ourselves. We ran together the whole time, and we stopped for like half an hour and like changed clothes completely at some point, and we were texting our, I think Cajun was a 5 loop, like 20 miles. She did 5 times, and people wanted to know how it was going. So we said, we'll text you. So we're texting, and then we saw armadillos. So we stopped and we took pictures. I took my iPhone one time, for one loop with, and took pictures of armadillos, and we stopped and posed for pictures and stuff. And, we ran a good time. Like, I had no idea. I mean, we were just clueless. So, we ran and we finished, and the guy, the RD, found out it was our first 100-miler, and he was like, this was your first one? We're like, yeah. He's like, oh my gosh, a lot of people have a lifetime goal to run under 24, and we're like, oh, okay, well, awesome. We really didn't know. We were just running and having a good time. So, I realized at that point that I suck at 5Ks, but maybe the longer I go, maybe I've got some sort of,
sure,
talent here.
Sure. So, what obviously going into your first 100, most people have a million questions. What should I wear? What should I eat? What should I do? Should I sleep? All these questions. And you went into it, like you just said, pretty ignorant, just kind of going for it. I'm going to run. Had you done any research? Had you looked at online or anything and had any idea what you were doing, or did you just really go into it with your friend and start running? I'm just trying to get a gauge of where you were.
No, well, we looked up, when I did a marathon, I looked up Hal Higdon for the marathon training plan. So we looked up 100-mile training plan. We looked at Ultra Ladies.
Okay.
And so we were doing like the Ultra Ladies training plan, which I think is a good training plan. And if people ask me for advice, that's where I always refer them. Okay. And honestly, I still kind of work off that plan because I don't have a coach.
Right.
Whatever. But so we knew what we should be doing. And, at that point both of us we knew we needed to keep taking in calories and stuff, but we really didn't know much. We would just, eat and drink along the way, and I don't know. I mean, we took a picture of the back of the car because it was just 2 of us, and we drove down to Louisiana, which was about a 10, 12-hour drive. But our entire car was packed to the brim like we were going camping or something, because we took chairs, we took tarps just in case. we took everything. We both have camped in the past, so we had like 5 sets of clothes and 5 sets of shoes, and we knew we'd be out there forever, so we took every possibility that we could think of.
Yeah. So, well, something seems to have worked.
Yeah, it was a blast. So we had a good time. So then it just sort of took off from there.
It did. So. It did. So let's get into it. I mean, in a recent interview, you told Eric Senseman that you're a very goal-oriented person. Did you start making goals after this? Did you say, I might be kind of good at that and set a goal? Or did you get home and look at the list of races and say, I want to try this and this maybe? Or kind of where were you mentally? I mean, sometimes people do their first and freak out and say, I'm never doing that again. That was ridiculous. Or they just start signing up for everything.
Well, at that point, we'd already registered for Olmsted because I think registration was in September or something.
Okay.
So we were already signed up for Olmsted before we did Cajun. But, I think there's always that. I'm never doing that again. I think I've told my husband that a gazillion times.
Oh, yeah.
So he doesn't believe it anymore.
Right.
So I told him that about the 48 too. I just want to try this one. So, but I think you do that. You think, oh, that was horrible. And then it's like having a baby. Oh, yeah. Well, that's not so bad. I can do that again. There's that period of, oh, I'm sore and tired, but you end up, in retrospect, doing it over again. So at that point, I went into Olmsted with goals of what I thought was reasonable to run in terms of time. And so, I set various goals for Olmsted. And I did not think I would win in any means, but that was not a goal. But, I set time goals and things like that.
How and when do you set goals? Specifically, how do you set them?
I don't know. I mean, I look at the race and I try to figure out if there's something specifically I want to do there. Sometimes I just do a race just for fun. And if you look at my ultra resume, you can tell there were some races I, done and weren't high quality races I've done as training runs. And I don't really care that my percentage is affected by, a 5-hour trail run. If I'm doing it with friends and we're having a good time, I don't really care. So, if there are certain races that I want to do well at, I ultimately have, a list of 4 or 5 goals that get progressively harder. So, sometimes, it just depends. Like in a timed event, it's, usually a mileage. In terms of the 48, I purposely went up there hoping I could set the American record. I did not realize that there was a world indoor track record that I would also be able to set until about a month out. Joe Feature said, hey, I was looking this up and found out if you set the American record, you could also set the world indoor record. And I thought, wow, okay, that would be super cool. I never thought I could ever have a world record. I thought American record was like race count. So
I mean, you weren't running ultras 4 years ago, and now all of a sudden you have this in front of you, like you could set an ultra running world record. And that's got to be a crazy thing for your mind to deal with.
It is. It's surreal. It really is.
Yeah. And you do. How do you respond to it? Do you get excited about it? Do you get afraid? How do you respond?
Oh, I think it doesn't scare me in any way. It's very exciting. I mean, I think I sucked at track and cross country. And in all honesty, I should have gotten to run state my senior year, but there was a little politics that went on, so I still have a little bit of grudge towards my high school cross country coach.
You got to let it go, Traci.
I have an American record. I know. I need to let it go. So what has it been, like 25 years or something? So, but it's crazy. Sometimes you just have to keep trying stuff and find your niche. And I feel like the longer I go, the more competitive I am. So.
Okay, so let's take this big one. So you got 48, and there's a potential to get a record. At what kind of mileage are you running now? Running at that time, and is it mainly road? Is it track? Is it trail? Because at the same time, you're still running trail stuff while this is going on.
I am, and I'll be honest. Because I work and have kids and run. My time is limited, so in general, like I've done 3,076 miles, 2014, and that's the most I've ever hit. So, I know there are people that run 100-mile weeks. I don't have time.
Yeah.
I generally run. I don't know what that averages out to, but my biggest mile weeks, I think I went up to 90 for maybe 2 weeks before the Dome, which that's the most I've ever run. And I talked to Joe Feature, and he doesn't run huge mileage. There's some people that run, Ellie Venti runs like 200 miles a week. I wish I had time to do that. I just don't.
I don't have the time either. It's not just the time to run, but to recover. You got to recover from that.
Right. And then I have to find time to sleep. I'm a lot happier if I sleep.
Yeah.
I'm a nicer person if I sleep. So, so I agree with that. But I don't know. It's, I averaged generally 80 on my big weeks, like training for something like that, 85.
Okay.
I pushed up to 90 because I thought I have to run 235 miles. I need to be running bigger. But
and obviously the other aspect to that race going into it is the mental. Can I stay awake for all this? And are you doing anything specifically to stay awake? Any kind of training to stay awake?
No, I didn't. And I talked to people, and some people went through 48 without sleeping, and some people said, you should, like Joe recommended, I should take like an hour and a half nap after the 24. So I ended up thinking I could probably go without sleeping. Because I did the slam in 2013, which I had a horrible slam, but I did get through it all. So, yay, I completed it. But, I did Wasatch. It took me like 34 hours. I figured I was up early and then couldn't go to sleep afterwards. So I figured I was up for 40-ish hours. So I thought I could, 48 wouldn't be too much. But as far as, you said running trails and roads, I'd say probably 95% of the time I run on roads. So my worst aspect is more technical trails. Like routes love me. They just pull me down.
Yep.
When I run on trails, I can run on them, but I fall. So less than I used to, but I do fall.
Yeah. No, I understand. Are your runs with people? Are you doing any other kind of cross training or weights or anything to stay injury free, or what?
I do generally. I haven't been for like the last couple months. I've just been busy, and so I haven't done as much. But generally, if in an ideal training week when I have time, I try to lift twice a week, and it's maybe 20 minutes of arms and core, and then I do some lower extremity exercises for like hamstrings and adductors, things that I sometimes have trouble with, that are nagging.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just realized I want to revisit the staying awake for 48. You said you didn't do a lot of training going into because you'd stayed awake at Wasatch, etc. Would you do the same again, or would you try to put some mental training in to stay awake?
No, I think I would plan on taking a longer nap.
Okay.
And, in the middle of it, instead of trying to go without sleeping. But I don't see any benefit of like doing sleep deprivation stuff before. Like I don't see any benefit of it. I think it's just going to make you more tired and stuff for that week, or I just don't see the benefit of it.
In your report from the race, a real interesting part of it, I think, was I guess it was the beginning of day 2. You were not doing too well, and your husband, who's your crew, and basically said you need to lay down because you're looking crazy right now. And he had you sleep for an hour or something like that. And it sounds like you were mad when you got up that he had screwed up.
Mad.
You, yeah.
I yelled at him.
How did that whole thing work? Because I can totally picture myself doing that. How did that whole thing work?
In terms of my husband and I?
Yeah. I mean, how'd you get over it too? Because he maybe sleep, but then you get over it at some point, and you're over it, and everybody's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like the best crew because if I get all whiny, or if I get sassy at all, and I'm honestly better than I used to be. Like I used to be really a cranky runner. So that's a nice, politically correct way of saying it. But I used to be much worse, and I'd see these friendly, happy runners running by, and I want to be like them. I need to be like them. I don't want to be cranky. It's really not my personality, but
right.
How it get tired.
Yeah.
So he doesn't put up with it though. So I had one incident. So where I wanted Jolly Ranchers because it was like running inside an indoor track. I kind of felt like the air was dry and I was getting choked up. So I asked him. I bought a assorted pack of Jolly Ranchers, and I said, I want apple and watermelon. Those are the only flavors I like. So he hands me apple, watermelon, and grape on one lap around, and I hand him back the grape, and I said, I want apple and watermelon. So I come back around, and he hands me like a watermelon and a blue raspberry, and I said, I want apple and watermelon. And I come back the third time, and he hands me a cherry, and I finally go, this is like 40 hours in. I go, I like apple and watermelon. It was rude. I said it like you're an idiot, And he's like, don't talk to me like that. I'll walk out of here right now, And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, And that's exactly what I need. Like, he won't put up with it. And that's perfect, because then it just is like, so, so the same thing happened when I laid down. Is I had started the second day, tried to lay down, a little bit, but couldn't sleep very much. So got up and ran, like 4 hours later, I was dizzy. So laid down for 15 minutes, didn't really sleep, got back up, ran for a couple hours, felt dizzy again, laid down for 15 minutes. So then I was getting dizzy again just a couple hours later, and he's like, "I think you're dizzy because you haven't slept." And I had laid down a couple times, but just couldn't sleep. I'm thinking about the fact that I'm not running and accruing mileage, and just couldn't. So he said, "You need to lay down and sleep. We think you're dizzy because you're not sleeping." And he said, "But you need to understand, if you lay down, we think you need to lay down for I don't know if it was 30 minutes. He goes, you need to sleep for at least 15 to 20 minutes. So you need to lay down for 30 so you can fall asleep. And then you have to understand, when you get up, you're going to have to run." And he goes, "I've talked to Joe Fegis, I've talked to, Rich, I've talked to so-and-so, and this is what we think you all need to do." So I'm like, okay. So I lay down and I get back up, and he's like, "Okay, now you need to go." And I was like, oh my God, do you understand what kind of pace I have to run to, because at that point I had been really struggling, and I thought, there's no way I can do that unless, I feel great. So I got up and I started walking, because he's like, "You need to get going," he'll say, "Why did you come here?" I'm like, okay, he gave me the mental boost I needed. And so I'm walking, and I'm boogling to my friend Jennifer Roddy, and she's like, "It'll be fine, we're all down, blah, blah, blah." And I'm still walking on the track, and Joe I'm talking to him and whining to him, And he's like, "Well, that's all right. This is your first attempt at 48. He goes, "You could get third or fourth if you just, can keep going." I'm like, "Third or fourth?" And then he goes, "And then you can try it again." And I said, "Oh, no, I don't want to try this again. This is awful." So, after 2 laps of, walking and having my little own pity party for myself, and I got going again and felt great, which was just stupid for, the last 12 to 14 hours. I don't get it. So I just apparently had to have, a 10-minute pity party. But my husband was like, I was like, "I'm mad you made me lay down." And he's like, "No, you agreed to lay down." I'm like, "Okay, you're right. I'm sorry."
And you guys got over it.
He's a really super nice guy. Yeah, don't get me wrong. So I don't mean to play that bad, but he just won't put up with my shit, which is exactly what I need.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh no. There's some people who need to be babied. Some people need the sternness, and and you know what you want, and he gives it to you. So that's that sounds like it works quite well. I wish, you explain you all of a sudden felt better, and those 12 or 14 hours after that, you just felt great, and everything was working great, and you don't know why. I've had the same thing happen to me, not in that race, but in 50 milers, where all of a sudden you just go, "I feel great. What the hell just happened? Why did it something I ate? What caused this for me to feel so good?" And it must be like chasing heroin or something. You just keep chasing that and and hoping that it happens again.
Absolutely. How can I get that to go sooner the next time when I have a low? Because, inevitably we're going to have lows and ultras. That's just how it goes. Yeah.
So. And then at the end of that race, I mean, if you haven't seen the video of Traci's last probably 2 laps or so, I will link to it on the site. It is a classic. I don't mean to laugh, but it's crazy looking. I mean, you look like an absolute crazy person, listing completely. Leaning,
yes, I was.
Yeah, I mean, leaning over.
Somebody wrote that I looked like a comma. I can't remember what it was, but it was very funny. It was a funny.
That's a great description.
It was. I did.
But listing mouth agape.
Either a comma or a parenthesis. I don't remember what it was.
But you were flying, and people are yelling. The gestures there. People are yelling, "Go, go, go!" And then you basically run until you pass out in your husband's arms. I mean, you just fall to the ground and you're sobbing, and it is a very dramatic and it shows how hard you can push. And it was a conscious decision. I mean, at some point I was going to get to the American record. The indoor world track was, I think, 231 some odd miles, and the American record was like 234 something. So I was going to get to 235 and walk. And the whole last 12 or 14 hours, I had it figured out that I had like an hour and 20-minute buffer. Yeah.
So I'd been looking forward to getting to that point so I could walk. And, Dave Carver and, Laz and them were all doing this research, and they discovered like the second world best ever was like 239 miles or whatever. So they told me you can't walk at 2:35. You need to get to 2:40.
Yeah.
Then you'd have the second best. Well, that's all anybody needs to tell me. You
Right.
can get another goal if you just keep this pace up for another hour. Well, okay.
Right.
And then it was like, then they're like, well, you need to bank all the miles you can. So like last 45 minutes, I started to pick it up, and just kept the faster I went, the more bent I got. I was just fatigued.
It's awesome.
It is entertaining.
What did it take recovery from that?
I took about a week and a half off, and then I went and started running again. But I tried to run about a month later, and it was awful.
Yeah.
So, I tried to race about a month later, and it didn't work out so well. So, so I don't know when I fully got recovered, but I think it was probably, I didn't really feel good until October. So, maybe 2 months.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about races a bit. You've got, like I said, you look at your ultra sign up or your resume, and you've got a whole variety of races, from track stuff to road marathons to trails to Western States to all sorts of different races. You said that you like the smooth and groomed stuff. You don't like the roots. I'm with you. I like running. I don't like tripping. Where do you see yourself running more in 2015? Are you going to focus more on marathons, on roads, on trails? Or do you have any interest in improving on the trails?
Oh, I do. In fact, next weekend I'm going to Bandera, and I don't know that it's the smartest decision because really with the Trail 100 and then Desert Solstice, I really haven't given my body enough time to recover. But
yeah,
I really wanted to get into Western, so I feel like I need Western redemption. I was doing really well at Western the year I did it, and then around 75, I just started puking and walked it all in. So, I want to go Western, and so I'm going to go down there and give it my best shot. But ultimately, I've been doing track, and, Tunnel Hill was quite flat, so I haven't really been training hills. I haven't been training trails. I'm not fully recovered, so It's not really the smartest decision, but I'd like to try it. So, I don't know how it'll turn out, but I'm kind of big on the fact that you gotta go after what you want, and sometimes it's going to turn out, and sometimes it's not. But I don't want to have any regrets in life. I'd rather give it my all and say that I tried, and see how it comes out. So.
Does that attitude, and I'm speaking of myself as well right now, as well as asking you, does that attitude get you in trouble with injuries?
On occasion, I kind of know what my body can handle. I had a partial hamstring tear in 2011, and so I'm a lot. And at that point, I thought I was indestructible. I raced a lot. Like I had, 2012 or something. I raced not Michael Morgan a lot, but I don't know. I did 20-some marathons and a couple ultras or something in 2012. So, and I had done a bunch in 11 and a bunch in 10, at least 20-plus races in 10, 11, and 12 that were all marathon or above.
Wow.
And I thought I was indestructible. I never had any trouble with injuries. And then tore my hamstring, and so now I'm a little bit better about listening to my body. But,
yeah.
After I do Bandera, I won't push it anymore after that. I'm doing a half marathon at the Princess, just, with my daughter. She's a senior in high school. We're going to go down there for fun, but otherwise I'm going to be smart and safe because I should be on the 24-hour team for Torino in April, and that'll be my biggest race for the year. To race for the U.S., I'm not going to dork around with trying to race stuff too soon, too close to that race. It's just too important.
Right. No, that one's in it. And I'm trying to stay abreast on the drama and the politics of that race right now. That is going to be going on in Torino in Italy in this summer, right? And it's going to happen, or it's
April 11th and 12th. It should happen. Yes, they've already come out with the general information sheet. So generally, once the general information sheet comes out, and it's 3 months out, it's with 100% surety at that point.
Okay.
So, and Torino's been on the books actually for at least 18 months. So they usually have, Italy in general hosts a lot of World Masters games and all kinds of stuff. So they as a country are pretty organized. So I don't have any doubt about that.
Okay, well, good. I hope that happens. It'll be like watching those. So let's talk about sponsorship, and not just specifically your situation right now, but the state of the sport right now. I talked to John Medinger last week about it, kind of the state of the sport for 2014 going into 15. I don't want to say a rift, but a separation between the road timed track people and the we only run trails people. And I'll just say kind of the non-acceptance of each other sometimes. I mean, there's been hubbub recently about certain people being named to the Ultrarunner of the Year list who aren't running enough trails to make some people happy, while at the same time the old school road track people are mad that there's not more road and track people on there. Is this going to get better? What's it going to take to have everybody get along?
I don't know. I think ultimately, if you look back historically at ultras, it all goes back to these, 6-day races that, people did in New York.
Pedestrianism, yeah.
But ultimately, I think the sexy ultra running is at least the Western states, is the,
right.
The North Face, is Lake Sonoma. I think it's those, West Coast, beautiful trail races. And I think, that's what draws the larger crowds. And I think, that's what draws more sponsorship. So I think, I think that weights higher. So, I know with the voting that they talked about, their main voting criteria is that highly competitive races and deep field. And so that's what, is the basis of that. So, I think the one thing that would be nice is, the caveat would be, okay, an American record is that's a pretty deep field if you're looking at all the Americans
who have run it.
That race ever. I think that's a pretty damn deep field.
Right.
Ultimately, that's, their thing is not some fast time at, John's fat-ass race, but they want specifically that year that race.
Right. It's.
So, I would hope maybe the criteria, they might consider like an American record, fairly deep field, but, ultimately, I'm thrilled I've, put in the top 10, and I appreciate that.
And nobody's ever going to be happy with a list. It's a list. All lists are inherently flawed to somebody, and that's nobody's ever going to be happy when you're comparing, like we said, apples to oranges to bananas. So, the interesting thing is of the 20 people on the list, the top 10 men, top 10 women. There's 2 on there who don't have major sponsors. I mean, you look down the list and you go, okay, there's North Face, Nike, Montrail, Salomon, blah blah blah, and then there's you and Joe, who and. Joe ran Desert Solstice in a pair of Hokas that were so worn down to the. We stopped at a store and he was going to pick up another pair of shoes, but they didn't have the size, so he just ran in these shoes that were like, I'll run in a pair of shoes till they're about gone, but oh my God, these were way past gone. I'm running all kinds of stuff, and that's how I like it. I don't want to be boxed, and I would rather run a variety of things that make me happy than. Some sponsor said, you need to run this race, and this race. I'd rather not have a sponsor. I'm not saying I'm not going to run stuff that, like I wouldn't be willing to. Right. I think that was Mike Morton's.
Would please my sponsor, but at the same point, if I'm, going to be roped, to certain things I don't want to do, then, I can continue buying my own shoes and paying for my own flight and all that.
That was Mike Morton's response to, I think, if I remember correctly. He said, I just want to do what I want to do, and it's on my schedule, and I get to wear what I want. So, I wish Mike was coming back into the sport, but I think he's officially retired now. Is that right? Is that about right?
I don't know. I was curious when I was talking with somebody the other day, and I just hadn't heard much about him. And he had such a huge 2013, and then I just hadn't heard anything.
Yeah, Hope he comes back, because boy was he was exciting. So, Traci, let's get into the fartlek round. I got 10 rapid fire questions for you. Are you all set to go?
Sure.
Alrighty. Number 1, when you're running a track event, at which point do you stop saying hi to everyone when you pass them?
At the point that I start to get a little tired, but then usually I perk back up and I talk to people again later. So I don't really have a good answer.
When I run on the bike paths or the trails around here, and I see somebody going out and I say hi to them, and then if I see them coming back, I say, so do I say hi to him again, or how does that work? And I could just imagine running, 400 laps on a track or something. The same thing. So number 2, you have one daughter?
One daughter, one son.
One daughter, one son. What do they think of your exploits?
They both think I'm a little crazy, to say the least. But I think, in general, they're proud. My son, he's very excited for me. He hates running, but he reads my blogs, and he helps me get the blog site set up because I'm not extremely computer literate. And my daughter and I, run together sometimes. So they're both supportive in different ways.
Cool. That's my mom is 65 and she runs too, and I think it's the coolest thing in the world. So, got a fast mom is awesome.
Awesome.
Number 3, which non-running company would you like to sponsor you? What product could you really get behind?
That's a non-running product?
Non-running product. Chocolate, wine.
Yeah, probably like peanut M&Ms or what's sort of my
I love those too.
I don't even know. Mars. I think it's Mars. I could probably get behind that. But.
I love peanut M&Ms too. I'm with you. That'd be a good one. Number 4, what's your favorite song?
I am just a huge fan of Katy Perry. I still love the song Roar, even though that's sort of Roar and Dark Horse. Those are great songs. Do
you listen to music when you run?
I do. Well, if it's a long run and I'm by myself, I do.
Yeah.
But I don't always listen to music.
Let's see here. Well, I guess you already asked this one. I was going to ask if you're ever mean to your husband and if you get cranky, but I think you answered that one. You answered that one pretty well, and it sounds like you guys have got that figured out, because that can be a tough one. You can apologize at the beginning and say, "Hey, I'm running. I'm probably going to be a jerk to you. I apologize," but then stuff still comes out, and you still fight about it and bitch about it, but understand. So it sounds like you got it figured out.
And he's wonderful and super supportive. I mean, anybody that's out there in the rain and the snow and the cold to hand you food and beverage and try to be at your beck and call is awesome. So I've said I've been working on becoming happier. So my rote response right now is, "Thank you, I love you," every time I see him, until I get so tired that I stop saying it. Usually I said it by 10, 12 times before the end of the race. So I'm trying to become that happier, smiley person that doesn't get cranky, but I can't say that I'm good about that all the time.
It's a good goal, and you're forgiven after 48 hours on the track. So, number 6, what'd you do for New Year's Eve last night?
Nothing, really. Went to bed early and got up this morning and ran.
Party at the Falbo house.
I know, exactly. How boring.
What are your favorite running shoes?
Oh, that's a tough one. In all honesty, I run currently in about 5 different brands. So, I run in Hokas and Skechers and Ultras and Mizunos and Montrails and, I have a pair of Adidas and a pair of Brooks in my house too.
You mean all different brands? Okay.
Rotation. Yeah.
Let's see here. Number 8. First thing you eat after a hard workout.
First thing I eat. Well, if it's a really a long run, honestly, I'm drinking some Recoverite that I put in a G2. But if it's a long run or a race, man, I'm all over a burger.
Yeah. Great answer. All right. Let's see here. Number 9. What movie is on your bucket list?
What movie is on my bucket list?
Do you have a movie where you're like, I got to see that movie. I've got to see that movie?
I don't know that I would put a movie on a bucket list, but I want to see The Hobbit. I haven't seen that yet. I know it's out right now, and we're hoping to go tomorrow. So, but I would also like to see Unbroken. That's another one.
Yeah, I would too.
I have not yet seen.
Did you read it?
I have not, but I like that author. So he wrote Seabiscuit, and so, it's got to be a good book.
I'm just hearing that the movie is less good than the book. I mean, the book is fantastic, and then some people are saying, but that's always the case, is you get the rifts between the movies.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of stuff left out, but I'd like to see it as well. That means I have to sit in a movie theater, and I haven't done that in a while. So, as always, our question number 10 is, what is your favorite beer, Traci?
I am not a beer drinker. I was waiting for a question, but I prefer like wine, but I'm not a huge drinker. I drink maybe, a glass of wine 3 or 4 times a year. I wish I liked beer. I just don't. I don't like coffee. So I don't like coffee or beer or seafood, really. So
You don't like coffee, beer, or seafood?
Yeah.
What else don't you like?
Or
I'm curious.
vegetables.
Those are so. What
I don't like vegetables either.
you like? You like burgers? Burgers and wine.
Burgers and wine. Yeah, burgers and wine. Yeah, ice cream, peanut M&Ms,
Well,
purple Stover caramel Fantas. All those good healthy things that you're supposed to not eat.
you're on the paleo diet or whatever. Awesome. No, that's good. It's good to hear you like the junk food because I cannot stay away from peanut M&Ms as well. I'm with you. So, Traci, thank you. Thanks for so much for joining us. I'm very anxious to see how Bandera goes, and I hope you grab that state spot. That would be awesome.
Well.
That'd be awesome. That's a wacky running down there, but you've got the legs ready for it right now. So good luck.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye now.
All right. Bye.
Well, thanks again to Traci for joining me. Said it before, and I'll say it again. Ultrarunning, quote unquote, is a big giant tent full of all different disciplines and all different types of wacky people, and there's room for timed runners and mountain runners and track ultra runners and sky runners and everyone else. And it's it's fascinating to learn from people who do well at multiple disciplines. I mean, Traci's a pretty good marathoner. She's a great timed runner. She has the fastest trail 100-miler of all time. I mean, she can do it all. And just interesting kind of her situation right now where everybody else, there's sponsors and she's not whining for one. She's saying she doesn't really want one, but it's just interesting how there's not a lot of focus on that discipline. So in URP news, rootsrated.com is sponsoring the episodes this month, and I'm very, very grateful. Be sure to check them out. If you're looking for comprehensive and free trail running guides, maps, be sure to check out the site. They've also got guides and maps for mountain biking, hiking, snowshoeing, skiing, everything, all written by people just like you and me. So check them out at rootsrated.com, or you can look at the link on my page. Really, really a cool site with really good information. It's about time somebody's had a site like this and they've nailed it. So I'm Eric Schranz. You've been listening to Ultrarunner Podcast. Now go out and run.